Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast again. It's me, Nayeef and Martina Geromin, and today we'll be talking about the value of developing soft skills. Martina, would you like to start?
Yes, as mentioned to you already previously, I came across as many times in the past few weeks, articles that always talk about the importance for the future to be prepared and ready to embrace the future, because the future is changing constantly, because AI has brought a lot of possibilities and also challenges, and we realize that certain jobs will be replaced completely by artificial intelligence, but that doesn't mean that that we need to fear anything about the future, because the future holds so many other opportunities. And in all those articles that I've been reading lately, everyone, researchers and academics and people within education, they all say the same, how important it is, that we develop our soft skills more and more, because the human aspect will never be replaced by any artificial intelligence. So that's why we at School Beyond Limitations already from the very start said we need to look at education not from an angle of academics only. And by saying that, of course, we always underline the importance of academics as well, but it's about the soft skills that we learn and the holistic development of a person. And certainly one of the soft skills, I think, that is very important. There are more which are important, but one that is very important is to be able to relate to other people, to be able to be empathetic, to be able to understand, to listen to other people, and to make sense of other people's thinking, and to be open-minded. This is all basically kind of interconnected. We can't just say it's only, this part of building relationships. It's interconnected with being open-minded, non-judgmental, and allowing the other person to be seen, and then to co-create with the other person. And I think that's something that we do really very intensively at SBL, with also the skill of becoming a critical thinker, a constructive critical thinker, so that we actually look at what is thrown at us from a perspective of, okay, interesting, I'm curious whether this is what's being thrown at me, whether this is true or not true, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, where I'm looking into different perspectives again. And you see how important the open-mindedness again is, and the non-judgmental is, and this kind of understanding, okay, I'm looking at this not, from an angle, of, okay, this is what you say, but let's find out whether this is actually encompassing the entire reality, right? And we talked about that, Nayeef, and I wanted to ask you actually, since you've been going through SBL for a long time, and you are now connected with SBL very intensively, you are even doing our teacher training at the moment, which is wonderful. I would like you to give your perspective on those soft skills and how they are developed within SBL, and how they help you now in your everyday life, in your also professional life.
At first, I want to begin with what soft skills are. Soft skill is not just communication. It's about understanding yourself and understanding others. It's about developing interpersonal and intrapersonal relationship. And soft skills build civilizations, and soft skills are necessary to sustain society. Soft skills make you belong, and soft skills make you flourish and engage and collaborate, interact, and also adapt, because these soft skills are necessary for us to have the understanding of what is coming at me, what's happening around me, and how I can be the contributor for things to be better. And at SBL, this is, I think, one of the core values as well, is to build the human self of someone and not just make them interdependent on certain courseworks, right? Because ultimately, no matter what we learn and what theoretical things we have or how much we're strong academically, if we cannot express ourselves and feel ourselves to the contributors, then it is of no value. And this is what lacks in majority of the conventional schools. I go back to conventional schools because the academics are strong there. They're disciplined. I get all of that, but then again, they lack, which is most vital for humans to sustain, is the soft skills, which keeps them engaged, which keeps them to be staying human and use those skills not just at school but also when they're coming out of school and going into the work field, because then they have to prove themselves, right? They have to somehow express their true self and contribute to the fullest, and those skills cannot be replaced by anything. We have tons and thousands of tools these days to learn the academics from, right? We can do mathematics using some applications. We can do English by some Google research. We have the Chat GPT and other many artificial intelligences. But for those informations to be interacted with us, we need true humans. We need facilitators who will get those messages through to us, who will discuss those, who will open up more horizons to talk about. And these are all the skills which cannot be interacted with any AI, no matter how well developed they are. And ultimately, it develops the understanding of emotions, which I cannot have with an AI. So I'll be more empathetic, I'll be more calculative, and it develops a critical thinking even more because I'm listening to someone, I'm operating it, and I'm giving back. Whereas for AI, it's just me asking and I'm just being fed.
Can you make an example, Naive? Very simple example where you noticed that this kind of approach, this kind of educational setting helped you, thinking in this way and how this has then translated into your daily life.
I can go way back when I first started my school at SBL. The way I interacted with the facilitators, the peers that created a different environment to the environment where I came from at conventional schools, right? So that happened, but I want to get a little bit to the contemporary time, like when I'm going to work fields or when I'm interacting with people. I don't have IGCSEs or A levels or any of those conventional examinations, right? I repeat that again. And even after having not the certified or standardized qualifications, when I speak to someone, when I can hold a conversation, or when I can express myself, like what sort of knowledge do I have about a certain topic, it sort of sparks an interest within them because I can't show any qualifications, but I tend to still understand where they're coming from and what they're saying. So they invite me to their places. They invite me and they open up doors for me to be an intern or for me to learn more about a very specific field. For example, I'm currently working at the aviation. I never thought as a 13-year-old when I first joined SBL that I was going to learn about aviation, right? This is something completely new to me. So when this opportunity came up to me, and I can feel that I can fit into it, I can adapt to what they're saying and express and be open towards learning. It creates a healthy environment and it creates motivation and it just generates a curiosity and holds the curiosity for me to learn more because I don't feel like I'm being neglected. I don't feel like I'm being cornered. I feel welcomed. I feel a part of their group, and that creates this synergy. So it helps in boosting confidence. It helps in how you present yourself at a social place, and it just opens up opportunities.
And you said before, things are thrown at you, they are coming to you, which is beautiful because you are just open for them, right? And you also mentioned, although not having any IGCSEs or A levels, people are very interested in you because you are curious and you bring this curiosity into your conversations, and this you hold the conversation, you listen carefully. And this is certainly something I would say that we practice within SBL a lot, and sometimes, since you are also part of the teacher training, and I see how you interact there as well, and I got this feedback also from other participants, and I just observe you how you bring everyone in, and how you can communicate, and how you can put the puzzle pieces together. And this is exactly what those researchers say to us. If you want to be prepared for the future, then you need to have those skills, and you explained what soft skills are. And it's not just about communication, and it's not about saying, here, this is my selfish me. No, it's about the understanding of the purpose why I'm here also, right? And that's also coming through in everything you do, that you are looking at things from the angle like we do at SPL. What is the real purpose, the real why I'm doing this, and how can I serve, and how can I contribute to this surroundings I'm at? And I think this is so extremely important that we keep that, and that we develop that further, because then we can basically create and shift the reality that we are currently in into something different, because we are aware that we are very important. You just said before, actually is very touching. I think you do not identify with something that you have achieved. You know who you are and what your mission is. And when I know what I am and who I am on the basis of, acknowledgement and appreciation, then it's not, I'm better than others. Then it's more about, okay, how can I contribute to this whilst somebody else contributes in a different way? And I see this happening when you are talking also, anytime. And do you feel that this kind of approach helps you in your reality, being seen for who you are?
No, absolutely. I mean, we as humans, we tend to have different relationships with different people. For example, you and I, you're my facilitator and I'm your student, but I'm at the same time also a son. I'm at the same time also a brother to someone. I'm at the same time also a colleague to someone, or peers or friends to someone, right? And having the soft skills is not just a supporting to all. We have this conception that maybe, trying to be better at communication would just help me in certain way. It's not just a supporting tool, it's a survival tool for humans, because that's how civilizations have lived and developed over time, is by communicating, is by creating more and more and engaging and making a community, right? And SBL is a community. SBL is a very strongly knitted community. Why do you think that happens? That happens because there is strong communication between parents, the students, and the facilitators, and anyone who is engaged, right? And certainly it has helped me. I mean, when I speak to my friends, or when I try to communicate with some colleagues or with my family, anywhere I try to communicate, it just becomes not only easier, but it becomes valuable, because I have something to contribute and I understand them. So a big part of the soft skills is to understand things, and understand and decode and analyze and see where they're coming from. And the more we build expertise on that, the more we can go in depth with a person. And that sort of helps us to reach the person truly and wholeheartedly, right? And not because, and you mentioned a good thing. I mean, when we achieve something, we might become selfish in terms of like, I'm better than someone, and I can do this better than them or this. But when we develop the soft skills, we realize that we not only are academically strong, or strong in terms of having the knowledge, but there's this responsibility of how I deliver that knowledge to people, or how I hold everyone together. I met some excellent people who were some great geniuses, so called, but it's hard for them to be amongst the people, because they have this bubble around them, which creates a barrier for them to reach the people. reach the human minds, and they're not, I'm sorry to say, they're not as accepting as many others who perhaps are quote unquote less knowledgeable than them on certain things. It's because of the trust. It's because of the comfort that we have when we're interacting with people. And why I say that soft skills are pro-vital to humans is also because these skills eventually lead us to take decisions. It's not just, I have certain skills where I communicate, I interact. It's about also knowing myself, as you said, knowing the purpose, which direction I'm heading towards, and whether this is the right thing for me to do. And to have this interpersonal understanding, we need to have strong understanding of ourselves.
And the strong understanding of oneself is already there at the very beginning, but needs to be nurtured and nourished all the time. And I think this is something that we also do at SPL. In which ways has this been done within SPL, and what was the experience from your perspective with regards to, nourishing and nurturing your who you are? Because we talk about we are there because we believe in the power of education in order to extrapolate the unique essence within each person. How did that happen? Can you give some examples here?
Well, nurturing is key to anything. You have some skills, you have some potentials, great, good, but if it's not nurtured, it will eventually fade out, and you'd have to, start from the scratch to regain that, right? And I think talking about my personal experience, as I have spoken to you multiple times in the past, that how I felt differently about education, how I felt always differently about how things should be, right? But I just never had this opportunity or acceptance anywhere I went before joining SBL, or even the confidence. I didn't build the confidence to speak to my school or speak to anyone in terms of how I think, because I felt like I would be the weirdo and I'd be the one who was just, pushing a little too much. But when I came to SBL, and it was like honest and authentic communication, and it was just a safe space, as I always say at SBL, where I can just, just deliver everything that I have just to get an honest feedback. Honestly, that door opened up so much that it just gave me a new understanding of how much this safe space and the nurture is necessary. Because I could have never opened up as much as I'm opening up now if I were to be at a conventional school for all this time, right? Because I maybe my poems wouldn't be appreciated, maybe the way I speak wouldn't be talked about, maybe I wouldn't build relationships with peers or facilitators, which would be this honest, which would be this I wouldn't say only appreciated, but also inspirational in a way. Because every time when I speak with an SBL facilitator, there is some form of inspiration that is extrapolated from the conversation. It's because they don't always praise us, or they don't always like tell the goods, or they don't always put us down. They find a middle spot where things are best for us, and direct us towards that way. And I think this honest buildup of relationship and the synergy is very much necessary, and not only for a student and a teacher, but for any relationship that you're trying to build.
Absolutely. And just to come to an end shortly, I wanted to focus on this inspirational part because I think it was last week I asked our class representatives whether they could tell me what makes school inspiring. And they said exactly what you were saying. It is the facilitators who inspire them, who open the horizon, who always are there for them and motivate them. And it's the community, the classroom culture where this is nurtured, right? Where this co-creation is nurtured and where people feel seen and then are constantly invited to see things from a different angle and different perspective, so that they do not just go into the idea of judging straight away, but saying, okay, interesting, and let's see what else. So I think, yeah. Naif?
Yeah, I would just like to add on the culture a bit. I think we are at a stage of being very confused culturally because I don't get the absolute reason why at schools we're being constantly taught to be, competing others and being better and then passing the grades and moving on. But when I enter into the work field, it's a sudden shift and a massive shift, and they expect me to be having expertise on a very specific and a niche thing, and develop all the soft skills and develop all the things which has been lacking at other education, right? So what was the point of having that long of an education and then going into a work field and finding totally lost?
Exactly. That's why we are so convinced that, developing and building soft skills and really helping young people embracing reality and going out and saying, here I am and here I am to contribute is actually the way forward. And if you find this also inspiring, if you think that this is something that you would like your child to experience as well, then please reach out to us. We are here and we would like to shape the future alongside your children and alongside you as a family. So thank you, Nayeef.
Thank you for having me.
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can indeed bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.